In this video in particular, we'll cover what is MCP and why it's a game changer for AI automations. So to begin with, let's start with a quick note. What is MCP? An MCP or Model Context Protocol is a new open standard that allows AI models to connect and interact with external tools, APIs and data sources in a consistent and secure way. You can think of it as a bridge between an AI model and the outside world. I also like to refer it as a toolbox from where a model can take some tools and use them. However, the comparison with bridge is also very accurate. It tells the model what tools exist, what they can do, and how to use them, all in a clear and structured way. And the best approach to explain how it exactly works will be on a real example. So right there, I've got my AI agent that uses artificial intelligence to just think and perform some actions I define. So in that case, we are using OpenAI chat model, and here I just gave this agent 5 different tools. So send email, get email, delete email, create draft, or create label. So that means if I say to agent, hey, create for me an email and send it, then it will just use the specific tool. And this approach is fine, so we can just have this AI agent connected with these tools. However, now just imagine the following situation. Let's say instead of 5 different actions this agent can perform, we've got suddenly 10. And here, not only for us as a viewer and the user, it's overwhelming, because also we need to know what our agent can do or not, but also for AI agent, it can be very hard sometimes to decide which tool to use. And basically, actually, when we use AI agent and we give it some tools, we've got 95% of accuracy for it to just take the specific tool and just use it in the proper way. The second disadvantage is that the service provider, for instance Google, can make an update in their existing API. So in that case, let's say we have a new field to fulfill in some specific node in some specific tool. So we would need in that case to go to each node in each automation we have and just update this specific tool with some information. Or even, let's say we've got some credentials, okay, and then they expired. So for that case also we need to go ahead to each node and just update it manually. But what if there is a better way to do it? So let's say we've got some server, it can get for us some tools, return all specific actions dynamically that we can use with all the parameters we want, and just execute the action we want. So it's exactly what MCP does. To show you how MCP works inside an IDEN, we need to know 2 specific nodes. The first one is MCP client and the second one is MCP server trigger. And for now, if you are not familiar with an IDEN, how to create automations, how to set it up, and even how to set up MCP server, don't worry, in this course we cover later everything step by step. But for now, below the MCP server, we need to define all actions we would like our AI agent to do. So for that case, we need to disconnect all of these actions, all of these tools, and just provide them inside the MCP server trigger. And the MCP client node is a tool that will be able to connect to our MCP server trigger, get for us some tools, some actions we can perform, and then just execute the request from the user. So we can just connect it to our AI agent. Now give me some request to write in a chat to just perform some action. Let's send an email to some specific email, okay? I will type which email to use. And when I give a task to do for my AI agent, such as send an email to my email with subject quick hello and body, basically then it uses our MCP server to call our MCP server trigger, get some tool and send an email. And now with all that being said, let's answer a question. So why MCP and why it's a game changer for AI automations? So to begin with, we've got unified standard. So instead of building separate integrations for every tool, MCP provides one consistent way to connect them all. So basically you can just define inside MCP server some tools, and then you can just use one tool instead of, for an example, 20, 10, or 15. Dynamic tool discovery. Models can now discover new tools automatically from connected servers. So imagine you have 5 different automations, 5 different projects. And then if you want to add some specific tool, you need to do it manually, okay? But if you have your server and these agents, these automations are connected with the server, you can only update the server itself. So add some one tool and then this tool is available for all 5 agents, aka automations you use. Smarter decision making. So MCP gives the model clear structure about what each tool does, so it can decide intelligently which one to use. And MCP has a great prompt structure provided by the top engineers. And also, basically, it's all the time iterated, it's tested, and so on. However, if you use your AI agent alone, you just rely on the prompt you created, okay? So then, this is the next point, higher accuracy. So MCP boosts tool selection accuracy from 95% to 99.9%. So this is the point. When we use our AI agent with the prompt, actually it can make mistakes. And when we have huge enterprises, like huge projects and so on, we would like to have the biggest accuracy. Because what would happen if, like, let's say your specific AI agent, instead of just sending an email, it will just delete some email. Of course, the probability of that is only around 5%. However, still, like, if you think of using your AI agent for very professional use cases, probably you need to be using MCP. The last point is security and control. So you define exactly what tools the model can use and what actions it's allowed to perform.